Joining us now is a man who has had such an interesting journey that's led him to where he is today. He has managed experiential marketing campaigns for Pepsi, Sports Illustrated, Nerf, Cooper Tires, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Turner Sports, Cat, the Chicago Blackhawks, and many other top clients. He spent time as a business development specialist for the Quicken Loans Arena, working with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Lake Erie Monsters, Cleveland Gladiators, Cleveland Crush, the Mid-American Basketball Conference, and the NCAA Men's Basketball Tournament. He held a similar position with the Columbus Blue Jackets of the NHL. He is the founder and CEO of Motive CBD, which is a collection of hemp-based products, 100% federally legal therapeutic CBD wellness products focused on pain relief, sleep, and anxiety for both humans and pets. He's taken all of that experience with him, and he's working with the great people at Battle Pickleball to get the word out about their amazing line of products. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome Corey Poches to Sports Talk New York. Welcome, Corey.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me today.
My pleasure. So starting in 2021, pickleball for 3 straight years has been named the fastest growing sport in the United States by Sports and Fitness Industry Association, with over 4.8 million players. The fast growth in the sport's attributed to several factors, including a very short learning curve, which I can attest to, appeal to a wide range of ages. Once again, I can attest to that, and fitness levels and low startup costs. There are now thousands of pickleball tournaments throughout the United States, including the U.S. National Championship, U.S. Open tournament, along with 2 professional tours, 1 professional league. Pickleball is also experiencing growth outside the United States with several other national and international competitions. They say that timing in life is everything. Your company, Battle, started in February of 2021 in Cincinnati, Ohio. Tell us a little bit about how the company got started.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, COVID obviously had a lot to do with the growth of the sport, and we're a group of entrepreneurs. Look, at the end of the day, so we're in experiential marketing. We run events for a lot of the clients that you mentioned, kind of at the beginning of the segment here, and as that kind of went away and experiential was pretty much non-existent, we looked at ways to grow our business through other avenues. One of those being pickleball. We ran some events on behalf of some clients, and we're a part of a larger agency group. We, on the Civitas experiential side, actually started the World Pickleball Tour. So you had mentioned leagues out there and tours. We own and operate the World Pickleball Tour, 50 plus events this year, largest amateur pickleball tour. Alongside of that, obviously, Battle. Really wanted to bolt onto that, an opportunity for folks to buy merchandise, paddles, all of that. And we've always been really intrigued by the licensing piece. So we've had licenses with Vera Bradley, U.S. Army, Ohio State University. I'm in Columbus, so it's easy on that end. And then NHL was really intriguing for us. Saw a lot of crossover there. We do a lot of work in the professional sports side of things. So been excited to jump on board with NHL, and it's really taken off.
Yeah, I know that some of your company's goals are to put the perfect paddle in the hands of every player at every skill and budget level. Your collection offers customized options with various weights, grip sizes, paddle surfaces, and especially designed junior paddle. You guys also have proprietary advancements like your anti-slip grips, your spin grit surface coating. What are some of the challenges that presents when you're dealing with a relatively new sport that is experiencing such a rapid growth?
Yeah, it really is. Look, there's somebody told me the other day, I think there's like 550 new paddle companies within the last year. And I think the licensing side of things like the NHL relationship, the Vera Bradley relationship, et cetera, give us kind of a different viewpoint on it. Obviously, you've got a really popular sport in pickleball with a ton of growth. And then you've got really this kind of foundation of sports fans, hockey fans, et cetera, and being able to kind of connect the dots with that has been really exciting and been very well received across the line. So things like that we try to differentiate upon. The other side of it is like we really own and kind of operate businesses within the entire pickleball ecosystem. So content and partnerships, paddles and merchandise, and then the events. So we can kind of pull the whole ecosystem together and really offer paddles at our tournaments and our events. And it's a little bit more authentic when you kind of approach it that way versus oh, pickleball seems cool, let's start a paddle company. All right, I think we went a little deeper than that. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because you mentioned that how many different paddle companies there are out there. And you look at some of the other leisure sports, golf, tennis, baseball, and there's like instant name recognition with certain brands, whether it be Ping or Callaway in golf, Head, Prince, Wilson in tennis, Easton, DeMarini or Mariucci, Louisville Slugger in baseball. What are some of the things that those companies do to make themselves stand out in that sea of competition? And how can Battle do the same in this overwhelming sea of competition when it comes to pickleball?
yeah, look, quality, consistency, right? They've been around a while. I think as the sport grows, and I've been involved in a couple different industries like this, you're always going to have that ground layer of companies where low barrier to entry, somebody wants to create a product, they want to kind of dive in, and then over time, you're just going to see kind of those companies that aren't real about it, or don't have kind of a dedicated strategy, that are going to really fall off. So you'll see 4 or 5 brands kind of float to the top over the time, just like you mentioned, with golf, which I'm kind of most familiar with. If you say TaylorMade, Ping, Titleist, all of that, people understand those brands. I don't think you're there yet with pickleball, even really from not only a brand perspective, but a personality perspective. So, we are all about the growth of the sport of amateur pickleball, right? So if we focus on just growing pickleball and everything we can to do that, what do they say? Rising tides lift all boats, right? So if we can just be a part of that movement, it's really not about like trying to compete with other brands for us. It's really just about putting paddles in people's hands, getting them to understand the sport, all the benefits it has from a fitness perspective, and a health perspective, and just the enjoyment. And at the end of the day, our company's built on the principle of like creating human interaction and events, and ability for brands to kind of really mesh with individuals. So being able to do it through that way is exciting. And I think by doing that and kind of taking those audiences and pulling them together, it'll be our best opportunity for growth and kind of to stand out in the industry.
It's interesting. You said you touched on a couple of words there, individuality, personality. Some ways sports highlights our personalities. In the NBA back in the day, it started expressing themselves through sneakers, Chuck Taylors, Puma Clydes to Air Jordans. They became fashion statements. You work with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Obviously, the goalie mask is a huge thing.
Yeah.
It shows you a little bit of the goaltender's personality. Major League Baseball players now are, getting their cleats specially designed, and
Yeah.
Francisco Lindor has a specially designed glove. You guys have embraced that with different collections, like you mentioned, the Vera Bradley collection, which, for you guys out there who have wives that play pickleball, I would suggest that is the perfect Mother's Day gift. The NHL collection, which you guys were kind enough to send me, my favorite team, the New York Rangers. It's interesting to note, though, according to a 2021 report, the most avid NHL fans are ages 18 to 44. The largest segment, 35 to 44. That directly aligns with the sport of pickleball, the largest population of players by age in that demographic. Besides
Sure.
just age, Pickleball University reports that among its own readers' interest, hockey is the 4th most popular activity behind tennis, golf, cycling, and ahead of basketball, football, and baseball. So, why was it important to get into that lane with the NHL for you guys?
Yeah, look, I think we always just try to be unique, right? I think I always tell people that it is really, really hard with all the different technology and, all the cash that folks will just dump into brands to sometimes keep up on the latest technology or the coolest new grip and all of those types of things. And as a company, we work with sports properties all the time. We understand that space. So it was really, everybody's looking right. How do you look left when it comes to different opportunities? And you're going to see us announce new licensing things that kind of come about in the coming months, where it is definitely a strategy that will continue to kind of go down. Really, it's that peak on peak strategy, something that's a growth such as pickleball, and sports and popularity of sports and fandom is not going away. So if we can kind of intersect those two, I think it's pretty tough to kind of compete with when it comes to that. And you're right, Mark. I think from our perspective, the bandwidth of the sport from an age perspective is growing so much, right? On our tournaments, the average player is about 50 years old. But a couple years ago, the average player was like 62 years old. So in just a couple years, our average players went down 12 years. It's because so many other younger folks are coming into the sport. And look, every sports organization, what do they try to say, look, if we're going to grow kind of fandom, you've got to start in kind of that youth arena. So even like the junior pickleball paddles, some brands have them, but it's pretty unique to us as, again, we try to grow the sport of pickleball. You got to start them when you're young, and something that every sports team, every sports league wants to do as well. So I think we just align with that strategy as we continue to grow.
So one of the things I noticed on my paddle over and above the Ranger logo is a
Yeah.
USA Pickleball approved stamp, which means
Yep.
it's tournament ready for any level of competition.
Right.
Every paddle in your entire product line has that stamp. So what are the steps that are needed to get the USAPA approval, and why is it important for players of every level to make sure that the paddle has that stamp on it?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's really first and foremost a stamp of just, quality and materials and all of that. Obviously, I think that's really one of the most important things as you look to set yourself aside, that you really have that stamp. Part of that process is everything you would imagine. You've got to not only submit designs, but samples to USA Pickleball, or utilize a manufacturer or vendor that already has been through that approval process. It's not anything super stringent. They just want to make sure that they check, materials, the surface, the grip, what it's made out of, and make sure all the claims that you say about the paddle itself are actually true. The weight, the size, and all of those types of things. So luckily, they make it pretty simple. They don't put you through too much of a ringer to get that done. But at the end of the day, like, we will always do that. That's a part of our process from kind of the ground level to make sure we get that done.
So obviously, to obtain licensing, major sports teams or a company like
Sure.
Vera Bradley does not come cheap. So what
Sure.
goes into the decision-making process when you set out, all right, we want to establish licensing agreement with so-and-so? When you look at the demographic, like, I'd have to think that Marvel, DC, Disney are all companies that would also drive sales. So how do you weigh what's the best route to go for the company?
Yeah, I think it's just about differentiation, right? I don't think you'll necessarily see us go and get NBA license, Major League Soccer license, NFL license tomorrow. I think we'll probably try to put our mark on the map in different areas. It's funny that you mentioned kind of Marvel, DC Comics, all of that. Because of the junior paddle piece and because of kind of growing it from the ground up and getting involved in the youth side of it, we are definitely looking into licenses and more of kind of the cartoon world, the Disneys, the Paw Patrols, the things like that, to hopefully jump on board to next. And then, a lot of other apparel companies, even like bigger brands like Coca-Cola has reached out, and like, what does that look like in terms of a partnership or a licensing deal with them? So really trying to be a little bit more unique as well. Not that NHL, isn't, but it's we won't always go into the kind of professional sports category. We're looking at some other ones as well.
The battle is also more than just paddles. You take a look, you guys have great gear ranging from glow in the dark, balls, socks, and a complete line of attire. Like you said, you're going to launch the junior, pickleball gear in coming up soon. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about those products that they might not even know exist?
Yeah. Look, when I got involved in this business, not number one, apparel is challenging, right? Everybody kind of jumps into that. There's millions and millions of apparel brands out there. The thing, and I wasn't involved in the early stages when we kind of developed some of the products, but I can tell you that first time I wore it, tried it out, I was very impressed. I kind of used the analogy, it was very much like Lululemon quality product. I think the end of the day, rather than just slapping our logo on some cheap apparel just to get some brand recognition out there, we really took a lot of time to kind of develop that product, how nice it is. It doesn't make sense for actually playing the game versus something that just has a logo on it. And we put a lot of time and energy into just making sure that all of those products in the kind of the product development stage is really important to us, so that we're just not throwing logos out there. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning in terms of just, you grow a brand through quality and consistency. And if I can, create a product that somebody orders and realizes that, wow, this is really nice, this is quality, this makes a lot of sense, that's a much easier conversation to have from like the longevity and the lifetime value of the customer than it is to just throw them something cheap that they may not know the difference of. So yeah, I would just stand on and stand by the quality of our products kind of all across the board.
So lastly, Battle has a unique mission statement as it believes everyone can and should have the opportunity to live actively by rediscovering the inner competitive spark we all have. For the younger generation, it's about remembering to get outside every day. For older generation like me, it's about finding an activity that works for your lifestyle, which, I'm addicted to it. I just picked it up in January and I play almost every day now. Pickleball, obviously the answer is is the answer to both. 2021, you guys launched the Battle for Better program to help continue the growth of pickleball for all. Since then, you've partnered and donated and related to lots of related causes while continuing to seek new opportunities for the advancement of the sport. Can you tell our audience a little bit about some of those causes?
Yeah, it really goes back to like that core mission I talked about, right? It's at the end of the day, it's about growing the sport, and we understand that in something like this, especially in a recreational activity, providing that opportunity for folks that may not be as fortunate to have pickleball paddles available to them in their community or their recreational centers, or both young, old, and everything in between. So we take a lot of inquiries and have a lot of great conversations with nonprofit groups, folks that are doing fundraisers, different type of unique tournaments for different causes, all of that. We try to get involved in that as much as possible. I think again, I mentioned earlier, it's really hard sometimes to keep up with marketing firepower of some of the larger brands that will kind of just go in and bully you and outspend you. This is our way to really not only get the brand name out there, but support like we do across the board in all of our companies. And it's something that's really important to us. And I think goes back to that authenticity and really just laying the right foundation that, we're doing this for the right reasons.
So, Corey, first of all, thanks so much for the amazing New York Rangers paddle. The
Yeah.
timing, you've worked in the NHL, so I'm sure timing was a little rough. It arrived the day after the Rangers were eliminated by the
Sure.
Devils in the first round. I knew, I wanted to post on social. I knew I was going to take a lot of grief, so I kind of, short circuited that by saying, thanks for the amazing racket. It will allow me to play great from October to June, May.
Yeah.
Not so much after that. So I beat them to the punch, but I will say it sparked, like, all of a sudden, like people were saying, do they have it in the Tampa Bay Lightning? Do they have it in the and I just kept on posting pictures of the different ones, and people were really excited about it. Second, thanks so much for coming on with us today to talk about the great sport of pickleball and your products. And thirdly, thanks for a great idea for Mother's Day. Where can people go to check out more of your products?
Yeah, just battle.com is the best way. It's BADDLE, and the NHL paddles is you'll see the first thing that pop up when you go on there, but a lot of great apparel and everything else. And yeah, look, tough to be eliminated, but something to do and a great activity for the off season to kind of support your team. And as the weather gets better in some of the northern areas like Ohio, where we are, New York, etc., great way to kind of support your team in the off season. So even though you're eliminated, and we're supporting we had 9 paddles initially, and we've got a good run of folks that are still in the playoffs with Knights, Carolina, etc. So we're rolling with that. So
I know the NFL tracks like the jerseys, who's the number one selling jersey. Do you guys track so far what the number one selling team has been thus far?
Yeah, so far it's been Tampa Bay.
Wow.
I think look, sport pickleball in Florida is just like, gangbusters. It's crazy. It's on fire down there. So I think we weren't super surprised by that, but I think again, as the spring hits and the sun's starting to shine a little bit more, we're starting to see more popularity in New York, Carolina, and some others. But yeah, so far, and funny enough, Toronto was another one that has been a really, really good seller along with New York, but a lot of people picking up pickleball in Toronto as well, and kind of the international markets. So yeah, it's exciting, and plenty available for everybody. So come check them out.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Corey.
All right. See you. Have a good one.